Good afternoon. I'm
Good
here.
afternoon. Hi, Irene.
Hi.
Nice to see you again. And I have to say that the candidate that you support has overwhelmingly handily won the elections. He is now our presumptive president. Most people who have seen him on the campaign trail say they don't really know who he is. As somebody who has worked with him very closely, can you give us a brief profile on who Rudy Duterte really is?
Thank you for this chance to talk about him in a way that is more human, because that's what he is to me. His parents and my parents were big friends because they were both politicians, and Davao was small then. So in a sense, we grew up together, and I know him as a really kind, soft-hearted gentleman. He had his problems when he was in high school, but this is a man who respects people and has a very soft heart for the people who are in the margins of society, as Lenny Robredo would say, ang mga tao na sa laylayan.
That seems to run counter to the first impression that he gave the public when he would appear. He was a tough-talking, his language was peppered with all kinds of curse words. He was very strong in his language. He did not mince words. This seems to run counter to the description of a gentle, caring person.
And this is the complicated. This is the complicated Rudy Duterte. He has this public persona that is, strong and decisive, and as you said, using all those cuss words and all that. But I have watched him for the past 22 years that he's been a public official. And he has this weekly television show where he does, all this, if you steal this, if you do that, he does all that threatening. And then I'm wondering, I said, that's not him. Why does he do it? And then I realized he has really psyched the people. And this is the way people want to be disciplined.
Is it fair to say that all of his strongman language and his cursing are a put on?
It's not a put on. It's something he knows. This is the way people talk, and this is the way people can understand him, and so it is not put on because he is a man of the masses. So he knows that that's the way they talk. This is the way he can get them to respond to him, because I've always wondered, why does he do this? This is not the person I know.
Yes.
And then, so just to give you an example, Davao was going to have new trash cans. So in his television show, he says, "Pagka may nakaw ng isang trash can, bantay kayo sa akin." That kind of language. And of course, up to now, we have yet to lose one trash can,
Okay, how does he strike fear in people? Is it because of his reputation? Is it because of the language he uses? Or is this pure charisma on the part of a leader?
I don't know. I think all of the above. He will tell you, this is what I'm going to do. He's going to do it. I'm going to make you eat your cigarette, and he will do it. Put it in your mouth. And I remember.
Does he really do it?
I haven't seen it, but I think that's just a threat.
Yes.
Is enough. I mean, I remember I was really appalled when the smoking ban had just begun, and he told the former mayor of Davao City, Luis Santos, says, "I am going to make you eat that cigarette." And I go, "What?" This is the former mayor he's talking to.
Yes.
But he's the kind of person who will tell that directly. So that's why during the campaign, when he was doing that to the other presidential candidates. I said, don't go there because he knows how to do that. Other people don't know how to answer him when he
Yes.
starts, getting very direct and uses the language of the streets.
Okay, Irene, I have a specific question for you because you're a very staunch advocate of women's rights. In fact, you spearheaded the United Nations International Conference on Women in Beijing. And as president of that particular UN activity, you are for the rights of women, and you know that women have been largely marginalized all over the world. What was your take when Mayor Duterte made that comment about that Australian lady and the rape joke? Was it a joke, or was he serious about his statement?
The way he explained it is that I was narrating what I said, but 20 years ago or something like that. So that's the way it wasn't a joke. He was narrating. He said what he said many years ago. Now, for feminists like me, who have fought for women's rights all of these years, one of the things I understand is that sexism in our culture remains. It is so alive and well. And those are the things we need to call out. That those kinds of remarks, the kinds of remarks that belittle women should always be called out. And so a feminist like me say, how can I, so the question is, how can I, a feminist and a strong one, support a man like him? Because his public policies are very progressive. I mean, his behavior, his language may be like that. So you're saying, okay, this is not a perfect world. So in his imperfection, I'm going to work. He's a work in progress as far as I'm concerned. So I'm going to work to make him less sexist. But his public policies are probably the best in the entire country.
Okay, so you're saying, in effect, that there is a disconnect.
It's not a disconnect. I mean, it's true of almost everybody. I mean, we are born into a very sexist culture. And then it goes on and it's maintained by our institutions. And so that's what we need to work on. Make sure that we align the public policies with the behavior, which is the culture, which is the cultural part. And so it took me a long time to say, oh my goodness, I know this is going to be the question, how can Irene Santiago support Rudy Duterte? But everything is done here. And I can give you a long litany of things he has done in Davao City. And there would be the only public policies like that in the entire country. So,
Speaking of public policies, we know very little of the kind of government that Mayor Duterte is going to establish. Could you give us, as you say, you have a long list of things that he has done, but along that list of things that he has done, what kind of public policy will he enunciate on several fronts of governance? Can you give us some insights?
Yeah, there are four. I would like to. There's a long list of things that have been recommended by the women here who formed the backbone of the Duterte campaign. But I think I just give you a very simple framework. So we will work on security, development, fair access to decision making, and acceptance of identity. Those are the four things that were grievances that turn to conflict in society. Those are the four fundamental human needs that eventually become grievances. So to us, security, development, which means health, education, livelihood, housing, fair access to decision making, and fourth, the acceptance of identity. Those are four fundamental human needs that will be met by a Rudy Duterte presidency.
Okay, can we focus on two items which are not quite clear to me? When you say fair access, what does this mean, and what specific programs will a Duterte presidency enunciate?
Um, one of the things, the gender program in Davao City is one of the best, and they have been designated a learning hub. So there's going to be a lot of training for leadership positions in government and in other agencies. So leadership is going to be one. And certainly identifying women who can be in positions of significance and not just positions in education and social welfare within I have to give you a joke.
Yes.
Because when he asked me, said, "You're coming to Malacanang with me," and I said, "Yeah, I'm going with you if you make me Secretary of Defense."
Okay, all right.
So this is the kind of thing that we're trying to tell him. Get away from the traditional
Yes.
positions for women, and make sure those are positions of significant decision-making positions. So
Okay.
those.
What you're saying, Irene, is that he walks his talk. Can you tell me what the ratio of women to men is in important positions in Davao under his leadership?
Oh, in Davao, it's almost all women. His chief of staff was a woman. I mean, our city council is more than half of our city council is women. So he's very comfortable having women in positions of leadership. Mm-hmm. So I think right now we're sort of, oh my goodness, I've been telling the men in the core group, I said, you're all men, come on. I want to see more women.
Okay.
And there are women, but
Yes.
they're not visible. So I said, more women and more visibility for the women who are in the team.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for that insight into our presumptive president, Irene. And I hope to see you as Secretary of Defense. Thank you very much.
You heard it first in Rappler.
Yes, you heard it first on Rappler. And we hope that we can say that we heard it first and it's happening. Thank you, Irene Santiago.